The best ways to invest money in your 20s might not be what you thought. In this video, I'll show you 3 investing rules and investments that will leverage your age to set you up for big returns, not only in your portfolio, but in your life as well. In fact, I'm revealing the strategy the rich use to make money regardless of their age. We're talking best investments in your 20s today on Let's Talk Money. Beat debt, make money, make your money work for you, creating the financial future you deserve. Let's Talk Money. Joseph Hogue with the Let's Talk Money channel here on YouTube. I want to send a special shout out to everyone in the community. Thank you for taking a part of your day to be here. If you're not part of that community yet, just click that little red subscribe button. It's free and you'll never miss an episode. I'm excited for this video. Us old timers think back to our investing mistakes we made in our 20s and how much we could have by now. For those of you in your 20s, it just feels like a huge opportunity to get it right, to invest and make your money work for you. We're not stopping there though. Over the next couple of videos, I'm going to be highlighting the best ways to invest in your 30s all the way through your 40s. So even if you're not there yet, make sure you check those out because it's going to give you that overall strategy, that perspective, and those ideas that you'll need to keep your money working for you. In this video, we'll first look at those strategic ways to invest in your 20s, how your age plays with different types of investments, and how you can invest. Then we'll talk about some specific investments you can make to take advantage of all of that. But first, let's get to some of those investing basics, as well as some of the lies you hear about starting investing out of the way. I hear a lot of these on other channels, and it makes me die a little inside because it's such horrible advice. So let's start with these 3 rules to your finances in your 20s to break these myths going around. First is probably the biggest myth right now and one of the most dangerous for someone in their 20s. It's the idea that you have to pay off all your debt and student loans before you do anything else, and it's complete bull. Now, if you've got high interest credit card debt, then pay it off as fast as you can. Get rid of it because it's just going to be a burden on your entire life. But if you've got debt with a rate below 8% or maybe even a little higher, it just makes financial sense to balance that debt payoff with investing. First of all, those tax benefits to investing in a Roth, or even better, getting that free money from your employer in a 401k plan, those mean your return on your investments well over that 8 or 10%. It makes no sense to not take advantage of that 20% investment so you can save 8% on interest. All these bloggers and YouTubers that cry about debt, it just makes no sense. Second though, and this might be even more important, is that even if you're getting that same return on your investments as that rate you're paying on the debt, let's say maybe you're paying 8% on a student loan and making 8% on your investments, you're still creating that habit of saving and investing that is more powerful than you know. Most people get to their 30s or their 40s and they've never invested a dime. They got on that hamster wheel, that single-minded focus of paying down debt, and they never created that habit of investing. Now they're screwed because they don't know how to start and they don't have much time to make their money work for them anyway. So pay down any debt with a rate over 15% or so. Make regular payments on the rest and just get started investing now. Another rule to investing in your 20s is to max out those retirement accounts. I know it sucks that your money is locked away for those 40 years in these accounts, but this is by far the best investing decision you'll ever make. It always amazes me how many people don't max out their employer match in that 401k plan. That's free money. If your employer is matching half of your contributions, that's an instant 50% return. And nobody gets that in the market. Not Lynch, not Icahn, not even Warren Buffett. Now, after maxing out your employer match in that 401k, your best bet here is to invest in a Roth IRA account. Now, that Roth won't get you that immediate deduction on your income taxes like a regular IRA, but you're not paying that much in income taxes right now anyway. With a Roth, you get to take all that money tax-free in retirement. That means you never pay taxes on that investment returns, and it makes it a much better investment compared to a regular IRA or just an ordinary investment tax account. One last rule for investing before we get to that strategy of how to invest in your 20s, and this one's going to be to always invest in yourself, in those skills and your business ideas. Now, investing in any kind of education or skills, even if it's just an internet course, is going to make you an asset to any company. That's going to get you more money and keep you earning. More importantly though, and this is something we'll talk about in that investing strategy as well, is to go after those business ideas. Now, that doesn't mean to quit your job and put everything into your idea about the next Kardashian card. There are lots of business ideas and models you can start from home with just a few hours a week. Now is the time to take a chance on a business idea. Start a side hustle that could become a 7-figure business before you've got that family and no time to do it. In fact, I'll leave a link in the video description below for 7 online side hustle ideas anyone could start that are going to grow in the new economy. Now let's talk about that investing strategy. And most 20-year-olds have kind of an ironic problem here. They have this great opportunity where their money is going to be growing for 30 plus years, but they don't have any money to invest. It's the opposite problem as you get older, right? By your 50s, you're making lots of money, but that money only has maybe a decade to be invested. Fidelity reports the average 401k balance for investors in their 20s is just under $10,000, while those in their 60s have about $168,000 on average. These red bars here are how many times your salary Fidelity recommends having saved by each decade. So by your early 30s, you should have about 2 times your salary saved, and by the time you retire, about 9 times your annual salary. So not much money to invest, but decades to make it grow. Now you still need to know how much stress you feel from big portfolio changes, but for most investors, that's going to mean a very high risk tolerance. This all translates to being able to go after those riskier investments and asset classes. You've got lots of time for some of those riskier ideas that we'll talk about to turn higher, and those double-digit returns are going to be compounding for years to come. So instead of just thinking about a stocks and bonds portfolio, you really need to be thinking outside the box as an investor in their 20s. I'm talking about alternative investments, business ideas, and house hacking. Now, we've already talked a little about going after those business ideas, and one of the most surprising things people see when they look at how the rich got rich is that it's not about stocks. In fact, a survey of over 2,500 millionaires found that they had just 17% of their money in stocks. They actually had more of it in cash. More than 40% of their wealth is wrapped up in their own business, alternative investments, and investing directly in startups. So going after those business ideas in your 20s isn't just about making boatloads of money either. It's about learning. It's about making those mistakes early. The average millionaire business owner has failed in at least 2 other business ideas. That's something you never hear about in the success stories. Everyone assumes that successful people just went straight to the top or just got lucky. In fact, most had to learn from their mistakes until finally getting to their 7-figure payday. Going after those business ideas in your 20s when you don't have that much money to lose anyway teaches you to work through the failures. That way, even if that first idea doesn't make you rich, you won't make the same mistakes later in life when you've got more to stake. Our next type of investment to start is called the house hacking strategy, and I've seen this one create entire real estate empires. This is such a great investment for people in their 20s because I know a lot of you want to get into real estate. The problem is you just don't have the credit or the bankroll to buy investment property. What you can do though with this house hacking strategy is to buy a duplex or a triplex. Since you're going to be living in one of the units, you can get a cheap FHA loan, which is only going to require a credit score of about 580 and as little as 3.5% down payment. So let's look at this closer because the numbers really come out great. If you buy a 3-unit house for $230,000 with $8,000 down and finance the rest, your monthly expenses, including a reserve for maintenance and property taxes, is just under $2,000. On the other side, you're collecting rent from 2 of the units, paying off the mortgage, and getting that appreciation every single year. That puts you in the green and doesn't even account for the free rent you banked. That's going to give you more money to start investing, put into your business ideas, or eventually even to buy more properties. Now, I've seen investors turn this simple house hacking strategy into dozens of rental properties before the age of 30. Next on our list of investments for your 20s are those alternative investments I talked about earlier. Now, these are called alternative because they're not like stocks and bonds. They're usually a little bit riskier. Maybe your money is locked up for a couple years and they aren't as well known. So we're talking here about things like startup investing, peer-to-peer lending, and even, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but things like Bitcoin. These types of investments are risky, but they have the potential to make 10 and 20 times your money. And for someone in their 40s or 50s, the risk just isn't worth it. They've got families and bills, and they need to start thinking about protecting the money they have saved for retirement. For someone in their 20s, though, this is the perfect time to be taking that risk. Even if you have just 10% of your money in these alternative types of investments. And this is an important point because you shouldn't have more than 20% or maybe a quarter of your investment money in these. But even if you have just 10% of your money in these alternatives, if the investment jumps tenfold, then you've just doubled your wealth. It doesn't even matter what the return you got on that other 90% of your investments is. You've doubled your money by taking that risk in just a small slice of your wealth. Now you can take this idea of going a little further on risk into stocks and bonds as well. Within your stock portfolio, you can invest in the riskier, more cyclical sectors like tech stocks and biotech. You can invest in individual stocks, or you can still just get that high upside growth from funds that hold stocks in these themes. So here I like the Technology Select Sector SPDR ETF, ticker XLK, which invests in 68 companies in the fast-growing tech sector, including Apple and Intel. For biotech, you've got the iShares NASDAQ Biotechnology Fund, or ticker IBB, which holds stock in 223 companies in drug development and healthcare. Another theme that's great for investors in their 20s is small cap stocks. Now, these are companies with a market cap of between $300 million to $2 billion. Now, that might not seem like a small company, but it's dwarfed by these trillion-dollar mega cap stocks, and these smaller companies are the ones that see the fastest growth. A good fund here is the iShares Russell 2000, ticker IWM, which holds thousands of companies in that small cap theme and has produced a 12% annual return over the last decade. It's these investing strategies, those investing rules, and the investments that are going to leverage that time you have as a young investor. These are the very best ways to invest money in your 20s and will set you up for success later down the road. We're here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays with the best videos on beating debt, making more money, and making your money work for you. If you've got a question about money, just subscribe to the channel and ask it in the comments. We'll make sure you get an answer in a future video.